All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone, on this very warm evening. You are at the briefing, Sierra Club Pennsylvania's series of live legislative updates. My name is Melissa, she, her pronouns. I'm the senior distributed organizer for the Pennsylvania chapter. You'll be hearing mostly from Jen Quinn, our legislative and political director, as well as from Nate Regal, our clean energy program advocate. Jen is sharing slides. I do ask that folks stay on mute until she is finished with her presentation, and then there will be time for questions. Feel free to put questions, though, in the chat as we move along, and then we will get to them at the end in the order that they're received. I am putting into the chat a link to the briefing digest. When you hear references to notes, the notes document, the briefing digest, anything like that, it refers to this ongoing document that brings together all of our action alerts, all of our action steps and links, some additional information about the topics we're talking about. For example, if you hear an acronym and you're not sure what it means, check out the briefing digest. We do have a rundown of acronyms. And then with that, I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Jen.
All right. Thank you, Melissa. And thank you, everyone, for joining us on this first day of a really brutal heat wave. I'm going to try to share my screen if I remember how to do this. All right. I'm assuming everyone can see this. If you can't, please let me know because I'm going to start talking. But again, welcome to the briefing. It is June. It is the end of June. The budget was officially due today. And of course, we don't have a budget. That's not a big surprise. The rumor I'm hearing most often is that it will be mid-July. Now, there are still rumors that it won't be done until late this year, but I'm going to go fingers crossed with the rumor I'm hearing most often that it'll be done maybe next week. So that the House was scheduled to through this week, and then they were also scheduled extra days to come in tomorrow and Thursday. They have canceled Thursday now. So it's definitely looking like it won't be done this week, but maybe within the next week or two. Again, fingers crossed. I did want to put this on everyone's radar. You may have seen this on the news. So the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has weighed in on skills games, saying that they're slot machines. They must adhere to gambling laws. They need to be regulated. I'm sure folks know taxing skills games has been an issue for the past few years. That should have happened in the budget, but did not. Now they chose to leave billions of dollars on the table. Now the legislature is also facing the need to either regulate skills games in 120 days, and if that doesn't happen, they can be seized. And then if they do take the step of regulating skills game, the big question is, will they finally include a tax on skills games, given that it is June and it is budget and we never have enough money? So it's something that they should do and make sense. But again, a wrench sort of thrown into things at the very last minute regarding the budget and what they're going to do with skills games. So I wanted to flag quite a few bills. There's not a lot happening with regards to the budget that is public knowledge, but there's been a lot of movement on legislation and a lot of good legislation. So this bill is a bill we've been working on and off for probably 8 years. It was drafted by Rep. Mullins. He lives up in Lackawanna County, and this was in response to a really large gas-fired power plant being built in his district. And so he established this community benefit agreement that power plants would have to enter into with their host communities. They have required fees that go to cover, local costs like infrastructure, emergency services. It's a good bill. It did not go anywhere for many, many years. It did just pass out of committee, maybe last week or the week before. He is someone optimistic that given the data center build out, that a bill like this can gain more traction. Because again, if we have to build data centers and we're powering data centers, they're going to have to build more power plants. So this could be a useful and helpful tool for local communities. So we'll see what happens with this moving forward, but did want to flag that this bill exists. It's a good bill, and it did come out of committee recently. We also saw this really interesting bill. This is related to the budget. So House Bill 1667, it passed the House. a few weeks ago, maybe months ago. I'm not exactly sure because I wasn't following it because it's a rural jobs tax credit bill. That's what it started out as. But just this past week, it was amended in the Senate. And what those amendments do, they're pretty significant. For one, it repeals the gross receipts tax. We all get a 6% tax on our electric bills, right? So if your bill is $100, you pay an extra $6. This bill repeals that. This is something Harrisburg has wanted to do on and off for years to save folks a few dollars every month. But the problem is that it creates a $1.7 billion hole in the budget. And the question always was, how do we fill that hole? We still don't know. Maybe skills games, right? This bill, the amended version, also repeals the data center tax break that they get on the equipment they buy. Again, something that can run into hundreds of millions of dollars if what's playing out in Illinois and Ohio happens in Pennsylvania. So this was a surprise to all of us a few weeks ago, a few months ago. I don't think anyone would have expected these amendments. So the question is, what happens to these? Do they go in the budget? Does it get slipped into a code bill? Technically, it would have to go back to the Senate. I mean, it would have to go back to the House for a concurrence vote to sort of concur on those amendments. But there's always a chance this can be slipped into a code bill in the budget. So wanted to flag this. There was a similar bill that also passed in the House this week that also repeals the gross receipts tax. But again, the big question is, how are you filling that nearly $2 billion hole? And then another bill, I don't know if folks remember House Bill 502. This was part of 502 was part of the governor's lightning plan. If folks remember the reset bill that would have a statewide siting board, and it came up with some standards for siting energy projects in Pennsylvania. That did not go over well. People had a lot of concerns about that. There's a new siting bill that was introduced by Rep. Steele, House Bill 2651. This applies only to renewable energy projects, so solar, wind, and batteries. It's an effort to prevent sort of very restrictive zoning at the local level that ends up being de facto bans. It does set some limits, some ceilings that local governments can't exceed when it comes to like height, noise, shadow flicker from wind turbines. So it's pretty late in the game for a bill like this to come out, but we'll see. And again, wanted to put this on your radar. We know a lot of folks care about getting more renewable energy built in Pennsylvania. And more legislation. We did talk about this bill the last time we had the briefing. It was amended. You can see there's some strike throughs in here. There were some small amendments. Instead of electric companies with 600,000 customers, it's 500,000 customers. And instead of requiring a build out of 3,000 megawatts of battery storage, it's now 3,500 megawatts of battery storage. That bill was voted out of committee. That's a good thing. We are asking folks to ask your state rep to co-sponsor this bill. There's going to be a push either in the next few weeks or later this year to get this through the House. More battery storage is something that's really desperately needed throughout Pennsylvania and throughout PJM. We do have this in the briefing notes document. There's a link for a list of co-sponsors. If your rep has co-sponsored the bill, great, thank them, ask them to continue supporting the bill. If they haven't, we do have a call-in script and an email just asking them quickly and easily to co-sponsor this important battery storage bill. And then a lot of you may have received our recent email on House Bill 1834, a bill we've talked about a lot. But I wanted to flag that there are a lot of data center bills that we're working on in addition to House Bill 1834. I think there's at least 52 data center bills in the House. Now, we're not working on all of them. We can't. But some of these bills we've talked about before, some of them we haven't. But I wanted to flag again, just so folks are aware, because we did get some folks saying, 1834 isn't enough. You need to be doing more. Well, we are doing a lot. And I just want to flag for folks, and in case there's questions or discussion at the end here on some of these data center bills. So one is House Bill 2150. We've talked about this before. This is a pretty simple reporting bill, requires data centers report their energy and water use. This has passed the House already. House Bill 2151 creates an optional model data center ordinance for municipalities. Again, we've talked about this previously. This has already passed the House. Another water reporting bill, a little stronger, requiring DEP to develop some specific permitting and reporting for data center water use. This is House Bill 2246. This has also passed the House and sitting in the Senate. And then a bill that a month ago, we wouldn't have expected to do a whole lot, but this is from Rep. Vitale. This repeals the tax exemption I mentioned before. Data centers get a tax break on the equipment they're buying. This passed with almost unanimously in the House. And again, a month ago, that probably wouldn't have been possible, but the tide and the sentiment around data centers has changed pretty drastically. So again, this has passed the House and is over in the Senate. And then the grid proposal, governor's grid proposal, this is what House Bill 2650 is. So this grid proposal hinges entirely on that tax break I just mentioned that some folks are trying to repeal. So this leverages that tax break, that if you're a data center and you want to receive this tax break, then you have to do more, you have to do better. So your energy efficiency standards have to be better, your water usage, community engagement, environmental protection. So it's trying to leverage that existing tax credit to get data centers to do more. And then again, House Bill 2496, this is another bill that a month ago we probably wouldn't have thought had a chance, but this is a temporary moratorium, 180 days. Municipalities can adopt a temporary pause on data center development. This also passed the House very recently, almost unanimously. And then another bill that tries to leverage the existing tax credit. This bill says if you want to receive the tax credit, you can't enter into a non-disclosure agreement as a data center. So again, leveraging that existing tax credit, while we have some bills that are, desperately trying to eliminate that tax credit. And then some more legislation, not data center related, thankfully. Not great bills, but I wanted to flag these are more natural gas development. So there's Senate Bill 712. We're hearing that this may end up in the budget. It defines these new terms when it comes to plugging a well, like what a reasonable effort is and where that attainable bottom is for well plugging. We still don't know what it really does. We're not technical experts, but we're trying to figure this out and trying to make it better, because if the goal is to put it in the budget, sometimes you're left dealing with a really bad bill and trying to make it less awful rather than just opposing it, because when you put something in the budget, it becomes very difficult to say no to the entire budget. And then the same with Senate Bill 1358. This would put Utica shale wells, which are very deep wells, much deeper than the Marcellus shale wells, under the regulations for Marcellus shale wells. Now, that seems like just a technical change at this point, but again, we're trying to figure out if there are unforeseen ramifications there, but wanted to put it on everyone's radar because, again, we're hearing these are on trades and possible negotiations for budget deals. And I will stop talking and let Nate talk about these two conservation wins that we've had.
All right, thank you. Yeah, House Resolution 66, that is a resolution directing the Legislative Budget and Finance Committee to do a study about terrestrial invertebrate conservation, and that passed. So the Legislative Budget and Finance Committee is now conducting that study. So hopefully, uh, the the resolution says 6 months, but that seems to be maybe a little bit flexible. But we'll see if we can get a report out uh, sometime this year or early next year about invertebrate conservation in Pennsylvania. And then House Bill 426, that one passed the House with very, very strong bipartisan support, 198 yes votes. It's now in the Senate. The other good thing about that bill is it has a fiscal note of $0, indicating that it will have no additional cost to the Commonwealth to implement that bill. So there's really no good reason for that bill not to be moving, but we'll see. I'm hoping that we can nudge these bills a little bit. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Nate. I just wanted to flag legislative session. You've seen this before. As you can see, after June 30th, there aren't any scheduled session days. Now, of course, they're going to have to schedule some session days, likely next week and maybe the week after, to actually get the budget done. If it drags on like last year, then they will still have their recess, but sort of unofficially. But again, hoping that doesn't happen. And then, of course, if they do get the budget done, they will not be back until very late in September. So fewer and fewer session days and time to get things done with every passing day. And I think that's it for me. I can turn it over to Melissa.
Yeah. All right. So this is our slide of action alerts that address some of the bills that Jen and Nate spoke about, and it also includes some that we've had up for a while, but that are still, on the radar, still available. So, take a look at them. If you have filled out any of them in the past, for example, if you initially did the alert for 426 for the House, uh, as it has now moved to the Senate, you're going to want to go back in and go through that alert again. So just, these may look familiar, but go back in and check them again, because if the bills have moved, then the alert has been updated. There's new people to contact, right? And then there are 6 actions in support of House Bill 1834, which is the data center regulations bill. You would have received a few emails from us about this bill, but we have collected in one place instructions for the 6 actions that we're asking of folks. So you can go through those one by one and make sure that you are being maximally effective when it comes to your support for 1834. Next slide. And then our chapter advocacy team, if you would like to get more involved in our policy and legislative work as a volunteer, our chapter advocacy team is a great place to get started. We are not meeting again until September, but we are still doing actions through email. So if you register for our September meeting, you will ultimately get on our email list so that you get all of the updates through the summer. And I think that is it for our slide deck. Yep. All right. So we can move on to questions. I don't see questions in the chat that are held over. So let's move into new questions. You can either use the raised hands feature in Zoom, or you can put your question into the chat. I am seeing a question from Bill Saby. Penn Future posted this call for action on HB 2496, the 6-month data center moratorium. Are we okay supporting?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think anyone is opposed to pumping the brakes on data centers.
Great. And then Diana asked, who is still blocking community solar?
Do you want to weigh in on that, Nate? I mean, I think it's a long list.
I think the easiest way to put that is it's stuck in the Senate, and the Senate Republicans have not uh, made any indication that they're interested in moving that currently.
Solar is a tough sell amongst a lot of Republicans, for sure. Thank you.
Daryl, many bills have passed the House. What is the likelihood of these passing the Senate?
I think that's a good question. It's hard to say. I think some of the bills that I flagged, like currently internally, myself and a lot of colleagues are taking bets on that 180-day moratorium being slipped into the budget, the sales tax exemption being slipped into the budget. I mean, they're very strong signals that are coming in a bipartisan way that didn't exist a month ago. So um, I think a lot of bills are tough, right? I think the battery storage bill is tough. I think community solar is tough. I think the power plant host agreement I mentioned is tough. But with the budget right now, there's an opportunity to do good things and bad things in it. And so I think there's more of a chance that some of these get passed. But the both chambers introduce a few thousand bills. It's whatever the bill number is, right? If it's 2449, that's the 2,449th bill that was introduced this session, right? That's what the bill numbers tell you. They typically pass maybe 2 to 4% of those. So nothing ever, we never have a whole lot of bills passing. So I'm not optimistic that the Senate will do a whole lot outside of the budget or this fall, unfortunately.
All right. And I see a hand raised from Yvette.
Hi. I'm just going to comment since somebody asked about that, about the support. I actually went to the environmental lobby day on May 4th. And you have that preaching to the choir, or you have the talking to a brick wall a lot of times. And I actually met with Coleman. I've been staking him out because I'm fighting the data centers. And I'm I live in South Whitehall, but I've been fighting other data centers, and I was at Upper Macungie Township, and I finally managed to talk to him. And we have this funny picture of us with our arms around each other and smiling, even though I phone banked for the person running against him. But anyway, he actually met with me and a few of my friends and my husband, and he's going to meet with us again. But he spoke with us for an hour. He is running for reelection, and he kept not voting for anything. And he admits his basically the only thing he does in his life is oppose anything our governor wants to do. He just does not want Shapiro to have a win. You know, that's how they think, like it's scoring, like it's a two teams fight, like it's a soccer game or something. But he actually only, and the other thing, like there's a couple of things that he said, and he said this is the case for all the senators because they hang tight and they don't like regulations. They don't like the moratorium, although Coleman has his own municipal moratorium, which is basically what the way the Republicans think it's the not in my backyard, the NIMBYs. They only think locally. They don't think about like they don't like higher control, higher government control. They want everything we should decide here. So he said that he called the moratoriums and a couple of the other bills pipe dreams. We recorded this and I gave it to Mark Pinsley, who's running against him, by the way. So everyone knows that it's funny. But yeah, so he was saying all these things about that they're not going to support any of this stuff. And I said, well, you better move on it because you're finding out now, as I was teasing him about the telephone town halls, that it's not just our side that doesn't want, it's not just Democrats or whatever. I don't want to say our side, their side, but that's how they look at it. But I said, no, you're the people who voted for you are angry with you because of this. And now he actually is opened up to solar because he finally said, and that's why I posted that one last message I got after last night's email through climate change makers or whatever, because everybody keeps saying message them. I see these people in person. I see my rep all the time. I just saw him at the picnic on Sunday. And he said, we passed all these things in the House. Please help me get some people. And I said, what is this going to sit here into the midterms? So we all kind of see what's going on here. We know that it's kind of a us them kind of mentality with the politicians, but they are finding out that the data centers gave us the common goal where I live, is that where we're fighting them everywhere. Nobody wants them. So now they're figuring it out and we're getting a chance to talk. And then now they're trying to kind of say, well, I am kind of fight the data center. You're not fighting the data center. You're just saying you are. And then they do this thing that doesn't quite sound right. So we kind of have this weird dynamic happening, but there may still be a chance, especially the people running for office. If we target people running for reelection or just anybody, I mean, we want to reach everyone.
I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt you. We have some questions stacked up, so I want to make sure we have time for those.
sure.
Yep, thank you. All right, and so the next question was from Bill. Are you aware of any budget negotiations involving our environmental concerns? And then Howard, you'll be after that.
Yeah, Bill, the only environmental concerns were the ones I mentioned, the two gas bills, the attainable bottom and the Utica under the Marcellus. As far as like good things, no. There's always a possibility that they can try to address the net metering merchant generator loophole, but it seems like the window for that is closing. So we're not expecting anything good, and we're trying to anticipate or stop anything bad, unfortunately.
And Howard.
Yeah, I don't know if this is an answerable question, but how hard are the governor and his office, his administration generally fighting for these things, like the lightning package and the stuff he's put out recently? Um, there doesn't seem to be any energy emanating from his office on these bills.
Yeah, so since this is a recorded version, it's publicly available, I will say I haven't gotten a lot of positive feedback from legislators regarding serious effort from the administration on either data center bills or clean energy bills or other bills that they've stated were their priorities. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that tactfully. I hope everyone can read between the lines there. Unfortunately.
Thank you.
Unfortunately.
Okay, and from the chat, Daryl, I think HB 1567 includes CBA. Is that only for the municipalities citing the facility, or can it help neighboring municipalities that are also affected but are not the hosting municipality?
That I don't know. I haven't looked at the bill in a little while. I don't think Nate has either, but I can get back to you, Daryl, on that one. It's a good question. I know that they were working on that with some of the data center CBA bills. I don't know if it is if it applies to this one or not, if it's neighboring municipalities either.
Okay, we have just a minute left or so. Any final questions? All right. You will receive this recording, the slides, the links that we have put into the slides, briefing digest, everything, the full package within 24 hours. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and continue to check your email for invitations to our next session of the briefing. Date unknown. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.